is live. Okay.
I do.
Mm-hmm.
Do.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I do. Love and wisdom to all that we find the divine creator. It's going to be a beautiful one for those who love truth, peace, purity, and justice. But for those still living in the illusion and don't want to wake up, you might want to exit. So as we begin, As-salam, 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 we open in the name of the divine creator, Al-Sufian. A major question could be answered today. A major question is answered today. All our problems, all our concerns about who we are, the truth that they don't want you to know. Why? Because you will have the way. And once you know the way and the narrative of the way, then all around is mere illusion. So we just gonna kick it off with a small we're gonna start with this small understanding right here. Before the Mayflower and after the Mayflower. The time period you in now is after the Mayflower. So after the Mayflower, you are what you are, you know what you know. But before the Mayflower, this is what you need to know. How the people that you know as the Mayflower rewrote your whole history and stole all your titles, stole all your inheritance by name change alone. And by this day, to this day, you still call yourself by the wrong name, which results in a lot of costs because this system, how it's designed, it was designed by the Mayflower. So this is the code word for those who don't belong here, but came here and pillaged and did massacres, atrocities, hid it in paper by the pen. So we have to open our hearts. So whoever has a mind, let them see. Whoever has a heart, let them hear. Before we was called blacks, before we was called Muslims, before we was called Christians, we need to understand the premise of where all this come from. because the way of your culture before the Mayflower was all of these things. And all of these things could not be comprehended by an outsider. So before the massacre and the genocide and the atrocities occurred, we was living in paradise. And we was the Sufian American. We're going to type this in. Just give it a little space. Before the Mayflower, we were Al-Sufian American. This is where you get words like Algonquin. This is where you get misnomers like Indian. So the words Indian, American, these words derive from actualities and culture of people who believed in the way. And so what we see now after the Mayflower, known as jails, prisons, school systems, corporations, filing taxes, that was never known when you followed the way. This is a Mayflower tradition to be doing all of those things aforesaid. When in paradise, all you did was worship the all. And this is where the all comes in, that's pronounced like Al. We pronounced it as all. When we understand everything that we did, all our answers to all our questions will be answered by the same understanding that we laid out on Friday, the previous lesson, the divine creator of all. We already knew and understood this, what people said as the Great Spirit. These are the things that come later date by foreigners who want to confiscate and control your destiny. So all this is forbidden. But since we have fell asleep through the penmanship of those translators, we have been lulled to sleep. Hiram Abiff, hit in the head at high noon. All this is cover up from the Mayflower traditions, cultures of anti-love, full of hatred, renamed the whole America to now create certain states of ignorance for us to dwell in. We at a different time now where 2,000 years has passed. From the 2,000 years that have passed, we have woken up in a dream that we don't know and understand. Somebody's running your part. You're not the dreamer of your dream. So this is called, we didn't know where they came from. If you don't know where the Mayflower people came from, well, let's go into a little spiritual history. In order to know where white people come from, you need to understand spiritual history, not his history, not his story that he penned down, But you need to understand spirits. White people are the spirits. The spirits manifested just as you manifested, except they didn't manifest where you manifested. Hence, this is why they had to come. But as you have your own mother and father, they have their own mother and father. Their own mother and father is not like your own mother and father. It never will be. But they have penned their way, writing, where they say the pen is the foundation of creation. You check your false text of the Quran, it runs right in sync with the beginning was the word. The pen and the word go hand in hand. And this is what they did with false text to control the pure souls. So to control pure souls, you had to rewrite the program, or you had to write out the spells. So this is the difference between souls and spirits. You are a soul and a spirit. They are just spirits. They don't have a soul. To have a soul means to be from the darkness. If you don't have no darkness in you, and you can just look at a person and tell if they have darkness in them. See, this is before the Mayflower. The darkness was a thing of beauty for dark people. But after the Mayflower, darkness was not such a good thing. Darkness became evil by way of their penmanship in their word. Through their word and their pen, they made black evil, darkness the devil, and your divinity Satan. And this has caused a light prism lockdown where you don't know where to go and you don't know how to escape. The system that you in is a light cold prism. It functions off the 7 rainbow waters that needs to bind the spirits into the body. So when we're talking on a soul level is prior to spirits. The spirits are created not as the soul is created. So just as you're not created in the same space as Antarctica, the same space that is called spirits. Every spirit have their space, and they're born into that space. Just as you are born into a space, you just don't know how you got here because you've been playing around with life. But you was born into something that you was to resurrect yourself from. You don't know how many times you have had how many bodies. But as you wake up, you will know more and more of yourself. So a lot of spirits have trapped spirits through ignorance. So trapping spirits mean you keep getting a new body and you never understand the past. You keep moving to the future which is keep dying, never waking up to the truth of who you are. So all this came after the Mayflower. So after the Mayflower, you don't know who you are. Meaning it's not a good time to die. You don't die till you know who you are. Because you got to experience just like you experience life. You got to experience death. But you were supposed to be in life moving as life is death. So you can resurrect at death because that's where you knew life was. Death and darkness is the same thing. So when we're talking about where did this darkness come from? Y'all have read, if you into yourself and knowledge of self and research into finding who you are, you have read about spookism, mystery God. You have heard about the black man as God. These ain't new theologies. These is not new sayings. These are something you have heard, but have you done the necessary search? Because these things are coming from somewhere. As your ancients told you, there's nothing new under the sun. So a lot of these things are just spiritual repeats if you're not an awakened soul. The darkness, the divinity, the blackness, the devil, the Satan that you associate with, depending on your levels of awareness of discernment. Some people see Satan as outside of themselves. Some people see Satan as the lower self. Some people see the body, the material world, as the lower self, as Satan. So there's different awareness of thoughts that you have to be keyed into to understand your way out. There has been many paths written, but you got to choose a path and you got to figure the way out. So we had ways prior to Mayflower that was already figured out. This is why we was having paradise. We was having paradise because we knew about life and that this was all an illusion. And that the true life is when we die. And so on this side, they could never understand this. So to this day, they still don't understand death. It's natural. So they created artifices, devices to extend, prolong, because they are scared of time. We all know, we all been passed down the love and wisdom that every dog has his day. You can't live forever. So where did we get this from? Because all that comes prior to the Mayflower. Before there's a timeline shift, before there's a national identity crisis, pre-birth matured by the same people who came off the Mayflower, the spirits. Now, we have to understand the spirits now have a task and a job since they had so much time through your sleep. They have built them a semi-paradise where now they want to live longer. So now they have created AI. So this is all for them to live longer. This has nothing to do with your divine purpose. This has nothing to do with your reality. This has nothing to do with your soul at all. You just here, and if you ain't knowing why you here, then you participating with the spirits. And the spirits need you to participate with them in order for this to keep coming forward as AI keep growing and growing. So we have to understand they have a plot as spirits, and we have our own as souls. As spirits, their goal is to make this reality material for them to live in for eternity. How we do it through our natural way of coming to life is not the same for them. They need mechanical bodies. So when we're talking about trapping the body, this is what they are doing. On the spirit side, they are trapping or creating AI to trap themselves into a body so they can live on forever. You as a soul don't supposed to be caught up in none of that. You don't supposed to be downloading your soul into no device. You don't supposed to be downloading your mind into no AI device. Now, this is where the future generation, and if we don't be careful, this is where the self-destruction will come in at. Because if there's no line drawn in between, we're going to think all is for us. It was like that before the Mayflower. Now, after the Mayflower, what our ancients told us, believe all what you see and half of what you hear. So all what you have seen, you know it for yourself. You've seen it. If you've seen it, you saw it. It's things you have heard, but you never seen. Such as the promises that the religious text offers from these spirits. Why are the spirits raising in prosperity? And why are the souls going down in poverty? We don't understand what darkness is and where darkness comes from. So the people that came, remember before they came here, they raided all other lands, took their knowledge, had their own scribes, had their own priests, had their own astrologers, had their own doctors, had their own builders, had their own architects, had their own lawyers, tax collectors. This was all the spirits on the Mayflower. To all of this so they can have a home, a place to stay. So they heard about the good old people over here in Americanos. They living in paradise. Land so big they don't even know it's more on the land. Got so much resources they don't know what to do with it. They don't even be worrying about the resources. So this is what we was facing before we even came to the awareness that all of this was coming to the forefront. So now the people who hate the divinity or the people who hate love are the people who hate darkness. Darkness comes from the word Sufian. Darkness comes from the word Sufian. So when you hear about the people off the Mayflower who found the copper color olives, found it here by the Europeans, going by Americans. We was already Americans before they got here. It was in our name. We didn't have access to our records anymore. They book burned them. The Great Destruction. So all we had was in our heart and minds. So after the Mayflower, all we have is our heart and minds. Everything we was, everything we was divinely sent here to do was in our heart and minds now. We had no remnants when we look around. They done built all over the land. We don't see none of our ancestors. We see all of their ancestors, the spirits. So the darkness began with the American. The Americana, as they would say, these people was dark, burnt skin, all the way looking like gold. And this is what the Mayflower got when they stole the words Christian and stole the words Muslim. These two words was already on the land before the Mayflower came. To fit in, you know how people fit in or play disguise, they took upon these names, calling themselves Christians and calling themselves Muslims. So they can blend in. So now they have culturally blended in now to the point where now they have rewritten all of the things you believed in. So you had your own sacred literature before you had a Bible. That Bible comes out of that sacred literature, put together by their own spirits. But it comes from a divine place, but it's not used for a divine purpose. It's used to mind control the people until they find their way. It's just like a dream. Once you wake up, the spirits would disappear. Just like a dream, when you wake up, the dream would disappear. So under our divine way and name, Al-Sufian, this is where our whole rights, divine constitution, we already had a constitution before the United States Constitution. This is why this is very important for us to know and understand, because all this is going to be brought on the record. Long as you are a sleeping soul, you are a walking spirit. Once you awaken your soul, now you control the spirit. Remember, there was two creations. There was the creation by spirit, blood, and the rainbow waters. That's what we got down here. This is why you see the rainbow. That's a separate creation from your original creation. Your first creation was from the Father through the way, through the wisdom. And this was your true self, your soul self, your spiritual soul, which links you to your divinity. So divinity for us is our dark nature. Divinity in us, when we close our eyes, that is our divinity. If we knew and understood darkness, wherever darkness is, this is where we are the creators. This is why we have to understand why the word Satan has been used to lure you out of your divinity, to keep you away from your true nature, from you never understanding, so you will never look that way. But meanwhile, the people, as the spirits of the Mayflower, are using your divinity, your darkness. That's why you see the spirits praying to the dark Madonna. It's not by coincidence. This is creator and creation. So when we talking about the divine creator, we are talking about nothing that relates to anything after the Mayflower. They don't know what divine is. So they wouldn't know what a creator is. So now when we're talking about our way before the Mayflower, now we reading out of the records before there was a American Constitution. We reading from the Al-Sufian American Constitution. Divinely prepared by the divine prophets. So we're going to read a Sufa'ah. So as the Constitution have articles, we have Sufa'ahs. So now when we saying articles, we should know in language that means the word the. So they use articles as Sufa'ahs. Those Sufa'ahs starts with the. So this is why language is important, and for us to understand the spirits and the souls. Number 13 out of our Sufa'ah. Courage is standing firm to virtue when all around bend to the winds of change. In their text, they speak on it as bending to every wind of doctrine. This is where we have to understand the soul, all is within the soul. We don't need a material manifestation to access the soul. The soul exists without a body. But this is what you have to awaken while you in the body. So you're supposed to be standing firm to awakening your spiritual soul instead of bending to the winds of change created by these spirits. They're going to create a new Google. They're going to create a new iPhone 34. They're going to create some new LeBron James shoes. They're going to make new leaves. The spirits are at work. And they outworking you as a soul. So we want to understand everything that we've been given has made us being. And we see from all this bending, we ain't got nothing out of it. So when we are talking about the winds, the spirits, these spirits change. One day they like this. The next day they like this. Within time frame with them, there's a lot of change. See, we have lost the understanding of what the soul is. And until you understand what your soul is, not someone else's, you stay asleep. You just change with the material cycle. Whatever cycle's coming, you change with it. The understanding of your mind, knowing who you are, is the courage. Is the courage. All your living life ain't nothing been around all of us, each soul, signs and omens, telling us what we should be waking up to, what we should be understanding, and why we should be in pursuit of wisdom. Wisdom, divine wisdom, spiritual wisdom is the only thing that unlocks or awakens or make your soul wakeful. See, the spirits want you to believe everything around you is realer than your soul. The spirits need you to believe everything around you is older than your soul. So therefore you serve these things. There's a scripture that says, was the Sabbath made for man, or was man made for the Sabbath? See, was you made for the illusion? Would the illusion eat you up? Or was the illusion made to serve you? See, as an Al-Sufian, here's a deep insight. It means the wisest alive. Our people was the wisest alive. And now the offsprings of the wisest alive have been tricked into the dead chilling with the dead. Why you think people die here? You only chilling with people that's going to be dead. But you don't understand the soul that never dies. See, this is a mind. And when we talking about change, this is how you know who is who on the land, the waters, or the air. Remember, all that is an illusion. You are a spiritual soul in the eternal immortality, getting tricked by spirits who came in mortal bodies. ghost bodies scaring you as you done forgot you were soul. This is why reminders came to remind you, you are not the body. Wake up. Your body is around you. So everything around the body is also part of the illusion. You won't find where the Creator created your body. He did not. That is a fallacy. The Creator created your soul. It stops there. Now, what you do with the soul, that's free will. And that's why you can continue to exist like you do today, having different bodies. But you don't know when you came last time. So you back into the land of the dead. This is why people are sent here to wake you up. Everybody can't make it, of course. It wouldn't be balanced. But it also wouldn't be balanced if everyone didn't know the truth. That you in an illusion, a 7-layer prism of light, rainbow waters. Your whole body is made of water. Water is memory. For this realm, water comes down from above. In this realm, that's the spirits of the fire, spirits of the air, spirits of the wind, spirits of the ground. You are a soul. It has nothing to do with anything you see in this physical plane. What you create within your own mind has to do with your soul. What you do when you awake got to do with your soul. What's in the soul's mind? What you dream has to do with the soul, with the dream of your own mind. This is the gift that all our ancestors passed down to us. This is why something called wisdom exists when you translate it out of Sufian. It comes to the wise dome. Knowing the opposite of what is wise, the soul, and what is dumb. That which perishes. So this is why you have a choice. You can live in the spirits where everything comes and goes. Nothing is permanent. It may stay longer than a dream, but you got to refill it. You got to make sure you do it. Or you can live in the wisdom. To you alone who deserves praise. To you alone we worship. It is you alone we pray for help. This ain't talking about this material realm. You talking to he who created the soul. See, and what created the soul we call the way. So we have to understand there's a big situation on hand. People think they can be separated from their mind. Can the mind of a man be separated from himself? That's like saying, can the heart of an animal be separated from its body and the animal survive? See, so your soul is either observing all of what's happening. Remember, you was a babe. That same soul that was that body as a babe, now as it growed into the future, the more it grows in the future, the more it can look back into the past. This is how you look at your soul to know that it's not the body. The soul can witness the past and the soul can witness the future. This is why they wanted you, the spirit say, give all your soul to their God, which is a spirit. See, this is how they play. Like I said earlier, they come from parents as well. Their father is a spirit. Their God is a spirit. But it's not yours. As we would say, you had the real McCoy. That real McCoy is called the soul. This is one of the hardest things to understand because of the Mayflower. After the Mayflower, they wanted to make sure they controlled this. So they started switching words up like soul, replacing it with mind. So now you use mind more than you use soul. Our ancestors used soul. Soul was something greater than the mind in the sense of what the mind becomes is a soul. This is the immortal part of you. As it says, they said that your soul traveled down from heaven into a body at birth. Then they said, upon death, your soul shall be judged. Then they said, if you fail, you will be subject to torment in an underworld to atone for your transgressions. This is what the spirits were saying. What they want to do with your soul. See, you got to know the truth of reality. All souls are spiritual. But the spirits, they have no soul. This is what we call, or I call, soulless spirits. When you look at the opposite of you, and they don't look like you, that is for a reason. Everything, the sun don't look like Earth. Earth is dark. The sun is light. See, this is why people can't understand. We come out of darkness. That's why the grave for you is a birth for divinity. We talking about the soul. The heart of the divine creator threw forth the human seed. What is the higher self? The higher self is the spirit, human spirit, clothed with soul, made in the form of the divine creator. So how could the soul experience any of that? if you got a logical brain. If you got half of a mind, you would know something that's totally pure cannot be thrown into no hell. See, that's called spirits. And we're going to bring that up so we have a clear understanding of what you're up against. Each soul is up against spirits. That's why you have your own conversations without me present. Those conversations of chatter is the spirits. Like air you feel on your skin, you can hear the spirits within. You are a soul. This is what it was telling you in the depth degree given by the holy prophet Ali, that if phantoms come before the soul, the master soul may speak and the spirits will flee. See, this is deep adeptship into your own saviorship. You are your own saving power because you have the ability to think. That means you got a soul. Thinking ain't of the material plane. See, it's the spirits that keep wanting hate. See, it's not your soul, it's the spirits. Like gnats come to a fruit, spirits come and want to drain a soul. Remember, just like we in the body now, we see they can't live without us. That's saying they can't live without a soul. You need a soul, an infinite battery, an immortal battery that you can just constantly drain life off of. Any form of violence do not come from the soul. That comes from the spirits. You have to think of something violent, meaning spirits have to enter or entice, as they say, tempt man. So you got all the beings in existence within your 7 layers of how this universe demerged. This is a neat word to accumulate. To demerge. This is how you got a body. You demerge from the one way. Now that you demerge, you have to merge the two, because you was just a divine mind, whole and holy. But since you demerged, that created what the ancients called the book of two ways. So this is why you have a choice now. Now we're talking about returning back to what Noble Drew Ali called the quality of spirit is purity in life. See, most people ain't never put that as clear as a prophet will put as clear. The most spiritual part of you is purer than the material world. Anything that is a matter of a fact is a spirit. Spirits are most thinner than air. And they flow just like air. Everything is proportion. Like the proportion of air is water, so the proportion of air is spirit. So this is why we have to understand life, because everything is in its form spiritually living. but materially dead. This is what we have to understand. Ignorance is part of the spirit's greatest plot. If they can get you to go to the grave ignorant, welcome back. The spirits will still be here. Because none of our families members have figured it out. So we are reminded, because it's about your divine mind, which is your spiritual soul, whole. The spirits are the one who keeps us in a state of depression. Remember, Jesus was walking and he asked the man, "Have you no happiness in life?" Man replied, "We have no happiness in life, for we toil and work." See the two differences? A spirit as an unrealized soul, all he seen was no happiness, depression, because you don't know about the soul. The soul pre-existed the body. The body is the reflection of the soul. As it said, the lower self is the reflection of the higher self. So this is why the spirits, this is what the righteous say, please pray for your family. See, don't take anything hard. Life is serious here. You pray for your family. You pray for your ancestors. You pray for your friends. You pray for the dead. You pray for all spirits that they find peace. That's why we open our salon, our salon. This is what the whole material universe needs. They can't find peace because they don't know what peace is. Peace is your true nature. Peace is why you was in paradise before the Mayflower. After the Mayflower spirits, you almost don't know what paradise is anymore. When you understand that life is a gift. See, the spirits are cursed. When I say spirits, let's give a little background. You lived in a body before. Bodies die. Everybody that you seen had a spirit inside of it. Remember, bodies die, spirits don't. So unfulfilled Things left undone. Remember, you didn't awaken to your soul, so those spirits never died. They either in the body or they in the air, the atmosphere. This is why you get thoughts. This is why man is a thought, because man is spirit man coming from different realms. You got realms within this realm and you got realms above. The wiser you are, you know where you from. We from a bloodline of the wisest alive. I don't know if we get that just yet. We might need to settle on that for a second. We are from a bloodline of the wisest alive. And that was the Al-Sufian American. The Al-Sufian American. Don't nobody got the American swag. Who rock froze like us? That's the Al-Sufian Americana. Who rock the braids? This is just simple things where you don't need a mansion. 5 cars for one man. We talking about spiritual things that come from the Creator. You were given a smooth look. You don't look at all the other people. Features, facial. You was given this smooth look. Features don't clash. I don't know if we looking or not. I don't know if we paying attention or not. Creator has created. Let's look. See, and the goal we're trying to do is become our soul self. Not the fake self that you was growing up with your friends in school, putting on a show for the women in school, doing everything for them. That wasn't the soul self. See, that's the spirit self right there. The one that's trapped into an ignorance of cycles that was created by you in our own ignorance. This is why as a child, you are supposed to be learning, not playing. Learning is playing. You don't get that time back. And the older you get, the more you forget if you ain't doing soul work. If they tell you, the spirits, that ignorance is a blessing, for you to not know who you are is a blessing. For you to be running around calling yourself something you're not is a blessing. For you to have all the money in the world and not know who you are is a blessing. For you to be pushed around by spirits and you, the soul, if that's a blessing. To be in contracts by weaker spirits and you the strongest soul, that's not a blessing. The spirits at work is, if you see what I'm saying, they here to lock you down. But you are the soul, so you can't be locked down but you can surrender. Let's make it clear. You can surrender. This is what has happened to most. $35, verily, it is not the victory over self. $36, as even the most holy man, that's the soul, is at times defeated by himself. He done got tricked by the spirits. See, even the holy man is defeated sometimes by himself. So we know the non-holy man having a tough time. 37, it is that a man never surrenders. See, only the real can feel. $33, all men have choice. All animals that are not in cages have choice. A man, a wise soul that surrenders his choice has nothing to offer the divine creator that is pleasing except his own life. See, this is why our people would say, kill yourself. See, it's a truth. See, our embodiment is of truth. We know you can be living a life where you ain't worth nothing. You just a block taking up space. You just matter occupying space. See, this is when you become worthless, is when you surrender choice. Now, that's belief. That's your mind. If you surrender your mind, you have nothing to offer your divine creator that is pleasing except your own life. Your whole life is needed to be pleased. So this is where the spirits is knocking Hiram Abiff in the head for. He's spirit knocking. He knocked 3 times. North Gate was excluded. See, he knocked on the 3 gates. Hear what I'm saying? You got 3 planes of your existence. He knocking on 3 planes, or should I say, Jubilee, Jubilon, and Jubilah. Or should I say, the 3 ruffians. These are the spirits playing on the 3 planes because they know they can't touch the 2, the soul and the self. But since you don't know your soul and yourself, guess what? You a spirit, soul in a body. So all actions you are accountable. Check this out with the spirits now. before any of those who behave like animals. If all men behave as lunatics without the ability to learn, to reason, or choose by free will, then the divine creator could no more hold a man to account for his actions than a wild dog killing a goat. That's why it said, test the spirit. Don't believe every spirit. Do not believe every spirit. Test the spirit. See, this is why all men, all women are spirits. See, but spirits that don't hold themselves accountable with the ability to learn, to choose, to reason, this is how you know the spirits. See, this is where you're going to have today in the future where you're not going to know the difference between human and AI. So to know the difference between human and AI is knowing the difference between a soul and a spirit. Too bad AI would never be a spirit. But inside of the mechanical body would be the spirit. The good thing about us is our body is still spirit. It's just lesser spirit, while the soul is the greater spirit. See, but a computer is not spirit in a body. See, we spirit, one just lesser because it comes, it perishes. I think that's some of the coolest thing for our creator to be able to create you in existence. Have you figured that one out yet? How did you get created to come into existence? See, when you know all of this, this is what you were before the Mayflower. Al-Sufian American. Al-Sufian American. How we said it. They turn our reality into myths, translated stories to reenact their spirits, to bring to life their spirits. "21. The divine creator demands you stand to account for your actions. Therefore, if anyone please themselves as a mindless animal for his actions, then must be treated as one treats wild dogs that attack your flock." See, this was always in our nature. But someone wanted to change our nature. So they started inventing words. Started inventing the pen. Used the pen to change the word. So all the words that we have been given by the spirits are not true words. They are to keep you in prison for a recycle or a reincarnation. Now look, now let's make this clear why it's even more important. This is why it's important. 20 your spirit is immortal. Do you know how long you can keep replaying this? It's just like if you ever played a video game and you ever started at level 1 and you kept dying before you got to beat the game. Well, the game exists as long as until you beat the game. So the same way with life, life exists for something for you to come into until you finally beat the game. This is what it's called as man no longer need the emotional body. When he's opened up on the plane of soul, he will no longer need the plane of emotions. The garb of emotions would have done its work and now has fell aside. And now the spiritual soul that knows it's immortal now start with its mind making itself immortality, living in the eternal realm. This is your promise. If you ain't following God for this reason, you might well stop and go join the spirits, because the spirits got promises for you, and the divine creator said he got one promise for you, that you shall have everlasting life if you beat the game. The spirits with mortal bodies ain't never beat the game. It's lesser spirits who have beat the game than more souls. That's why heaven is ready to be filled. But the good ones already there. And then the ones who come to help wake those who are sleeping up, they come because they know they can win. They will not be defeated. They will go to the way. And those the ones that are sent to wake all of us up. This is what was considered as the faithful. What you think the faithful is? The full of faith of what? What we went over earlier, not bending. Yeah, you're going to get come at all type of direction. But the faithful, you got a promise. And if you fulfill your promise, which is to live a holy life, not be tricked by the spirits. These are spiritual games now. Your reward, your promise, what they call receiving the Holy Spirit, is an effort called receiving the way. The way of immortality, everlasting life. All the faithful, they did not die. Why you think more evil spread? Because they not here. The dead is burying the dead. Y'all hear me? The dead is burying the dead. The living souls, this is why you was told you was a living soul. You not focus on the things that perish, because the things that perish has its rewards, for they shall perish. So if you want to die, you have a choice to perish, and then like a seed, or like winter goes to spring, you have another season, another shot. But you was conquered by the seasons, in other words, the spirits. Our ancestors that warned the wisest, they not here. They offsprings are here. They in paradise. Well, all of us shall return. Some people call it because they don't know your own text, it's called the Al-Fatiha. Some people call it the pleroma. But that's not your culture, that's the spirits. They go into the pleroma. The pleroma is the land of Rome. When people that follow the spirits of Rome, when they die, they got a place. How do you think you born in America? This is a place. Spirit is, I'm saying, spirit is a space. You could be born in your next life, you could be an African. Born in Africa. See, this is what I mean by the seasons. You didn't take this life serious, so you might have to understand. You might have been serving all type of spirits. Well, now you got to go to that space. That space might land you in Africa, it might land you in London, it might land you in Europe, it might land you in Antarctica, it might be with the Eskimos in Alaska. These death and sleep is portals made of spirit, thinner than air, more subtle than wax, as they say. This is our teachers, teaching you how to raise your thoughts, from raising your thoughts from lesser to infinite wisdom, to your own immortality. The faithful do not die, they become translated. So just as you translated into a dream, so death will be just like a translation. You won't feel the pain. You won't feel, because you passed the second death, as they would say. That's how you do the work while you alive. You got work to clean up while you was alive. And then you got your soul that has lived in many bodies and have did actions in those bodies that was never resolved, and it accumulates into these other bodies called your emotions. Your emotions is the 7 rainbow waters. What you want is peace 7-fold. Peace 7 times. The 7, circle 7, is to have the 7 levels, the 7 planes, the 7 numbers, the 7 waters, the 7 lights, all in peace like a rainbow. Serving you, bending around your will. This is achievable by adhering to the instructions of the wisdom. Remember, the wisdom is to wax you wise. Wise means to be of the higher plane where wisdom speaks. This is where the faithful are. The faithful do not die. They become translated from the perishable world to the world of eternal existences. The world we in now, we should all attest, because we have loved ones, that this is a perishable world. But if you get an ear and you have a heart to hear that there's a non-perishable world, that there's an eternal existence, this is where choice comes in at. Number 10, all things in the universe die. Since all things in the universe die, what am I supposed to do? Be in the world like a traveler. Or like a passer on, and reckon yourself as of the dead. Listen now, this is how you get to eternity. Be in the world like a traveler, and reckon yourself as of the dead. Sleep is the brother of death. Death is a bridge that unites friend with friend. The grave is the first stage of the journey into eternity. Be one of the most difficult thing to do because the spirits is kicking around here. They making all type of things. But see, the reward is in the completion. If you in a perishable world that you have seen others before you meet death, what if you can already, this is what the word Sufiana means when it's talking about the way. Dying before you die. What if you knew how to do that? See, that you wouldn't experience death. If you walk in this world like a traveler, always passing by, not stopping for nothing, just passing by. That's physical. Now think about spirits. Thoughts come. Instead of jumping on the back of the thought and riding it like a jackass, let it pass by. Instead of wrestling with this thought, let it pass by. See, this is the true understanding of why meditation is the education. Or what in my book, education is meditation. Because this is the foundation. If you don't understand how to die before you die, then that's called you meet the second death. Death is the eating of spirits. And the D in death is divine. This is what they wanted you to be scared of, the D. That's why they named it the devil. That's the devil's knowledge. Don't play with that. See, magic belongs to the spirits. Wisdom belongs to the soul. Wisdom is the consciousness that the soul is out. And that the divine creator and the soul are one. this is not the plane of the soul you on. Look above at night, or when you see the sun in the day, that's the plane above. That's the plane of soul. Just like it's activity up there moving, it's activity down here moving. Except this is considered the dead. And when you look up, that's considered the living. So we have to understand stars. And why you come out of from the light of the stars. You have the soil of the earth, the plane of things made manifest, then you have the light of the stars. Sun, moon, and stars. All that is considered celestial, heavenly bodies. Did y'all know those was once souls in a body? Those souls that make it through ain't at night. That's souls that didn't make it through. That's souls that want to come back to this life through free will. That's your night stars and constellations. Those people who died in that time period, it's a marker, a record. That's where the darkness at. That's why stars are born in night. That's why you see the light of the stars. That's them sleeping. Same thing. That's why we have to understand the soul lives on. Is what I'm making clear. What you experiencing as a microdose of sleeping awake is a grander scale on the soul level with the soul and the spirit. Right now, you're dealing with the soul and the body. We must all ascend from the soul and the body to the soul and the spirit. So the plane above the soul is the plane of the spirit. This is how you get to the divine mind. Thinking is going to take you to the plane of soul. This is how you manifest down to come a creation. And that's called death. First death, second death. And now it depends, now that you're here, is you're going to go back through it through lack of discipline, or you're going to conquer it through the knowledge of faith. Knowledge is the friend of true faith in the divine creator. This is where you hear the word know the ledge. Know the ledge is understanding the spiritual and soul. And if you go off the ledge to off the edge, that's when you come a physical body. Knowledge is different than thinking. To get to eternity, you need knowledge. While you was alive, you were supposed to be thinking on that knowledge all of your life. Thinking on that knowledge all of your life is building up you from the caterpillar to the butterfly. Every time you see a butterfly, that is a caterpillar that believed in the divine creator. It fulfilled this promise. But the thing we have to know is we have to be conscious of it. we have to know we transforming. We have to know we going into death. We have to know we coming into life. It's our nature to know. So if we don't have knowledge, then we fall off the edge. And when you fall off the edge, it's like falling out of a dream to awake. You awake into ignorance. See, each spectrum is alive. And so just like if you fall asleep from this realm, you wake up in a dream. If you wake up in a dream and you go to sleep, you wake up in the physical. If you slow that down, this is all we're talking about, knowledge and ignorance. Knowledge ain't went nowhere. Ignorance is the thing that failed, the spirits. And this is why ignorance is the friend of true evil. Only evil that's being placed on us is for us to become more and more ignorant. If you notice, if you deal with these people never mention your soul. Just listen to them. All this is spirits. Just listen to them. They don't never mention your soul. Remember, they always on the winds that change. So when one falls off the edge, they fall into ignorance. And then that ignorance becomes the true evil, the wrong way of thinking, the wrong way of acting. Now we're dealing with wrong knowledge instead of right knowledge. Now we're thinking wrong instead of thinking right. Now we got a bad mind instead of a great mind. Now we're doing wrong actions instead of right action. See, and this has covered up what we call mask, camouflage. We camouflaged ourselves within our own behavior by changing your thinking. And it camouflaged that you never did the action. When you know you are accountable for everything you do, even the thoughts you think, but even before you do them. It say sin don't lies in the action, but in the desire. Meaning you a part of it. You got to think evil to be done. Evil is ignorance. Ignorance masks itself as knowledge, as divine. This is why the Creator knows everything you think, see, and do. If you lie to yourself, you ain't lying to the Creator. See, that's the ignorance. You will lie to yourself. That's the ignorance. You will say, I didn't do it. That's the ignorance. You never would say that I did not know. And that's why I did ignorant things. You never stepped up and said, I was ignorant. You never claimed your own ignorance. So guess what it did? It multiplied. Some people ignorance more than their money, their bank account. And so you're going to need, as they say, more money, more problems. More ignorance, more money. All these things correlate. The worst thing is what we was talking about earlier as we get ready to be closing. In traps, This is about you being entrapped. If you in existence, you got to deal with it. Welcome to existence. If you deal with knowledge, you won't be trapped. If you deal with ignorance, you will be trapped. Ignorance entraps the souls. Check this out now, not the spirits. See, ignorance is the spirits. The spirits entraps the souls. This is what we're here to liberate. For the liberation of the soul. So before there was an American Constitution that don't have the word soul in it, we had the 610 Al-Sufian, which is our Constitution before the 1776 Constitution and signed in 1787 by its delegates, which is a soulless constitution. It doesn't have the word soul in it. Who you were before then has the word soul in it. And your divine constitution is still promulgated, enacted by law itself. This cannot be changed. What our ancestors laid down cannot be changed. Now, if you don't believe, that's on you. If you believe, that's from the Creator. The Creator is your soul. Do you think the Creator want to be trapped by your ignorance? Because you wanted a temporary high. You wanted a temporary satisfaction. But remember, there are spirits down here that does. This all on self. This ain't got nothing to do with them. It's about the virtue of you. And can you become wiser and wiser till you hit the grave? Our Al-Sufian ancestry was the wisest alive. The wisest souls to be made flesh. And you may be offsprings of them. How well can you comprehend the divine Creator? It says it's a gift for those who know the higher mind, who know the mind of the divine Creator. For they can choose when they want to return to life and not be caught up in life and enjoy its sovereignties and the hereafter. '59, the height of intelligence. That's how easy it is to be wise. It's honesty. That's not a hard feat for anybody to pull off right there. Honesty connects to your true soul. How you truly feel and how you truly this is how we save ourselves. I hope you know, if you don't use honesty, they'll take that word and hone in on you. You take the H off of honesty, you got one. This is how we trying to stand in the oneness through the honor of the highest. The highest honor is honesty. That's what we stood on as Al-Sufian Americans, was honor, balance, and divinity. Meaning we all was equal. We all had our tests of life that made us prove who we are. We either the coward that punked out, or you the courage that stood up. When these spirits or situations came, this is how you was to know who you are. Not because you said so. No, when that test comes. Not because you said so, it's when that test comes. As it says before we close, you can't be troubled if you remember honesty. Only time trouble comes is when dishonesty is present. And we know the spirits are dishonest. They have been dishonest for over 2,000 years. And they have lied from the beginning. Who would worship or do anything of a liar when you know their destination is perish, mortality, nothing? So remember, spiritual wisdom is of the heart and mind. It's not in the book. All this what was said is in your heart and mind. Not in the book, but it is in the Al-Sufian, your divine constitution as an American. So stand up, who all claim to follow the way of Al-Sufian American. Peace and love to all Sufians. Peace and love to all Americans. Peace and love to all spirits. That all spirits find peace. As our Al-Sufian Americano, we close in the name of our divine creator, Al-Sufian. As-salam, as-salam.